my very first memory is of a mysterious ray of light shining through a window. Ideas come to you from the cosmos, and inspiration arrives.
Who did you dream of becoming as a child? Do you remember?
Well, my first business was when I was 11. The more freedom you want, the more responsibility you must embrace.
So, what helped you become not the same?
And I realized, one thing I've realized is that I should trust my intuition more. All the bad things in people stem from not having enough love in childhood.
Lado, we've already discussed the projects you've been developing, like Holiverse, Lado Film, all the various businesses with a shared idea. Now, I'd like to talk about you as a person. What has shaped you and influenced your outlook on life? Because it's evident that your projects, the businesses you're developing, are very much a reflection of your unique ideas and philosophy. Today, I'd like to better understand this side of you, regarding how your views developed and where they stem from. And I'd like you to open up a bit to your audience as a person. Let's go right back to your childhood.
Let's try.
You know, my first question is, I'm always curious about people's first memories and when they start to become self-aware. What do they remember from childhood? And at what age? What is it? For many, these are some kind of vivid impressions. I remember mine. At the age of 3, I had very vivid impressions. I remember everything in detail and have been quite self-aware since then.
Some say we actually remember memories of memories.
Of course.
Especially since we recall them repeatedly. But my very first memory is of a mysterious ray of light shining through a window. In reality, I was peeking into the basement and saw a window on the opposite side of the house. But as a child, that left an impression. Another vivid memory is when we were moving. This was all 2 or 3 years, that kind of age. We were moving to another apartment, and when the furniture was removed, an echo emerged in the empty space. Such a strong childhood impression.
Those are very cinematic memories. Light, sound, images, right? Some kind of imagery
Yes,
stories.
not without doubt. Interestingly, my mother told me that I said quite surprising things to her. Specifically, Mom, I can't remember how I got here. She started to explain something, but I said, no, Mom, I remember how I grew inside you. I was small at first, then I grew and grew in your tummy. That I remember. But how did I get into your belly? Somehow I can't remember.
How could it be? That's just unbelievable.
Yes, and for me too. I don't remember this story myself. It's what my mom reproduces. These are the legends that circulate in our family.
What did you like to do in your childhood?
In my childhood, I really enjoyed sports. Nothing strange about that. Which age do you mean? There are
Let's
various
just say
stages.
6, 8 or 10.
I played games, of course. At one point, I became quite interested in philately, collecting stamps. I was really passionate about this. There was a feeling of something enigmatic. I still can't shake the feeling that a stamp is not just a piece of paper with a picture, but something more.
Something a bit magical, right?
I was quite immersed in this topic at the time, and really loved it. Later, when I got a bit older, after watching films about martial arts, I was so inspired by this idea that I started gathering my team of fighters. We went and planted a small tree and planned to jump over it every day, like in the Hong Kil Dong movie. So it would grow, and we would...
Keep jumping.
Yes, like the great fighters in the movies.
And then?
Well, then we moved to another district, and I didn't continue that experiment. I still don't know. I just haven't checked if it's possible.
You mentioned doing sports as a child. Wrestling, right?
Yes.
Tell me a bit about that. what wrestling taught you, because I believe wrestling is a magnificent sport for a boy, and this sport forms character.
My father is a wrestling coach, and all his brothers, he had... Well, when they were still... Well, when he was involved, there were 4 brothers, although there were 5 brothers. The youngest one was also engaged in wrestling, but was much younger. So he joined a bit later. So really, and this was my grandfather, my father's father. I'm sharing this because it has all shaped me as well. After all, it was always talked about in the family, and my grandfather exemplified a really strong character. He went through a war, and it was a really hard one for him. He sustained many injuries, the most severe being a through-and-through chest wound.
And he survived that?
Yes, he survived. He made it through many hardships, and was a real-life example of someone who faces many challenges, but never gives up. Others might say he should give up, but he just didn't. After the war, he went to a Sabantui. We're Tatars, and we have this holiday called Sabantui, which features, among other things, traditional Tatar wrestling. It's a type of wrestling where you grasp each other with fabric. You must throw or somehow knock your opponent off their feet. My grandfather was told, "Fyodor, it's your turn." So he went out, won, and left with the ram. And no one even knew, in fact, he had no leg. He had a prosthetic.
Amazing.
Yes, we had many interesting stories like that, which certainly impacted me. Since I was a kid, I have felt the need to maintain a certain standard, and I've done my best. I was the champion of Tatarstan, competing in an age group 2 years older than I. That is, at 16, among 18-year-olds.
Well, that's a big difference.
Yes, at that age, it's a big difference. So yes, sports had a significant impact. Speaking of character, it's interesting that I grew up in a time when there was a lot of crime in our city.
I wanted to mention that.
Hooligans and all that. Most boys were quite aggressive everywhere. Even as a kid, I noticed that I had interactions at school, in the neighborhood, in some nearby areas, and in various clubs I attended. And there was the sports complex where the wrestlers were, and the least aggressive guys were the wrestlers, who were actually the strongest.
Perhaps that's exactly why they were the least aggressive.
Yes, and for me, wrestling turned out to be, well, it's partly because when you're physically exercising, and in a balanced way, and wrestling, in my view, is one of the most balanced sports that develops evenly different muscles of the body. It gives you a feeling of having control over yourself. When you're like truly alive and energy flows through you. Later as an adult, when I sometimes lost my fitness, but then regained it, I clearly remember that physical sensation and the importance of sports. The importance of one more way to be connected with nature. Because when we don't engage physically, we lose our connection with nature.
Are you currently involved in sports?
Well, I'm not exactly into sports. Rather, I just try to stay fit. Later on, as an adult, I practiced various Eastern disciplines. Tai Chi Chuan, yoga, and I do my best to replicate the best of those by working on my breathing every day and doing gymnastics. I also love dancing. Dancing, especially Georgian. I know a little about that too, and all that stuff. Yes, since I'm always short on time, I sometimes struggle to keep up and end up losing track of it. However, when I come back to it, I'm so happy. I am once again convinced of how important it is to make time for this. Moreover, your future work will be much more productive, as this also affects how our brain functions.
Does movement help you in thinking and making decisions?
Yes, when energy flows freely through you, ideas come to you from the cosmos, and inspiration arrives, providing the energy to discover and achieve. And your mind works better.
You told us a bit about your grandfather, that he was a strong character and an important figure in your family.
Yes.
Who else influenced you during childhood or adolescence? Tell us about the role models or people in your family and surroundings who contributed to shaping your character.
In my childhood, there were my dad and grandpa, first and foremost.
Tell us a little about your father.
It's hard to compare anyone, because my dad was always in front of me as an example that even somewhere where you might give up, you just can't give up, because he inspired me with how he conveyed this, since he lived up to it in terms of also being engaged. All he told, he practiced himself. He didn't smoke, and when he told us, don't smoke, it was convincing. Because he himself didn't smoke. Not starting to smoke in my childhood was very difficult, because I often found myself in situations where 10 guys were standing, all with cigarettes, and I was the only
It's hard
odd
to
one out.
resist that, especially at that age, isn't it? When you're strongly dependent.
The only thing that this core was formed on is the understanding that you must preserve this strength, that you need breathing. In wrestling, breathing, lung capacity, how well it all works determines a lot. Additionally, achieving victory definitely had a significant impact on me. An interesting thing is that when at competitions, you look at lists of who competes against whom, you notice, oh, this one is easy to beat, and you're so relaxed beforehand. Or, oh, I'm up against a strong one, damn. But when the fight occurs and when it's over, you've won that easy one. Well, it's just another win without
Satisfaction.
any satisfaction, yes. But when you beat a strong guy, especially one you've lost to before, let's say, and then you win, this feeling is inspiring. You can actually do it. You can. It means you can move
Does
forward.
it help you in your
It's
work?
even difficult to put it into words.
That feeling that has resided in your body
It
since
exists
childhood.
somewhere at an energetic level. It's like a wave you've already caught, and you constantly strive for victories. Yes, there is. It helped. That's why I recommend getting your kids into wrestling. By the way, my father had many books on physical education, sports, and so on. There was an interesting atlas showing different athletes, and they had just the athlete's body, front and back, and the muscles that are the strongest in different sports. And only one athlete, a wrestler, was completely colored in from feet to neck.
All muscles and muscle groups are
All the
work.
necessary. That's why I say it's a very balanced sport.
What did you, not even what, like what did you dream about? Who did you dream of becoming as a child? Do you remember?
Well, I actually announced it when they had an interesting conversation with me on exactly the topic of what do you want to be when you grow up? And to my mother's surprise, she later repeatedly mentioned that she didn't expect such an answer from me. I want to be an entrepreneur, I said.
Using exactly
Exactly
that
the
word.
word entrepreneur.
It was already in your
Yes,
context.
it was. I picked it up somewhere.
But from where?
From where? It was the end of the Soviet Union, and by that time it was already penetrating, although it wasn't yet filled with understanding of how, where to, and what. But the main idea that this is where I would create something of my own made it clear to me that this is exactly what I want. I want to create something myself.
To create.
To create.
Do you remember your first business?
First business? Well, my first business was when I was 11. It was a pretty funny story. My mom got into this, actually. By the way, a mother figure emerges here.
Well, since it's been all men so
Yes,
far, and now finally the mother.
Yes, It was just the end of the Soviet times. People were seeking various ways to earn money, so as my mom did. She once tried selling rooster-shaped lollipops, so she bought special molds for making these roosters. But in the end, either she lacked time or for some other reason, she stopped doing it. And I decided to take it on myself. I decided to earn money, and that's what I did. In the evening, I baked lollipops.
Really? Baked? Literally? How's it done anyway?
Well, yes, you need to melt the caramel.
In the oven?
No, you just melt it. Caramel.
You just said you baked it, so I was surprised.
Well, how is it better to say this? To fry, boil, or whatever?
I'm not even sure.
I didn't think about it as a child.
Cooked, let's say.
Cooked, yeah, exactly. You heat it up,
My mom also used to
pour
make
it
it in a
into
spoon.
these molds, then insert a stick there and wrap it up. So I loaded all those onto our remaining baby stroller. Fortunately, my little sister had grown up by then. She didn't need that stroller anymore. I took it 2 bus stops away from us, stood near the bus stop, and sold them. And it worked.
What did you spend your income on?
Actually, my first motivation was to save money for a concert of a famous singer coming to our city.
I see.
And the ticket was very, very expensive. They never gave me that much money as a child, so I went and earned it myself.
Great. What an inspiring story. 11 is such a good age to start trying your hand at this business. But let's return from childhood to the present. Now you're a successful entrepreneur. You're developing numerous projects. So for you, what does business and entrepreneurship mean to you now? Back then, you wanted to earn money for a concert, realizing that you want to do something for your own. How does it feel now, when so much has been done and such a long path has been made?
Well, now it's inseparably connected to the fact that in the process, as you scale up, you inevitably encounter how systems work, how many things in the world function. You begin to view everything from a more global perspective. And the most important thing for me is that business feels natural to me. In this way, I am a total libertarian, as opposed to ideas of...
Tell us a bit about this. What does that mean?
The primary concept of libertarianism is decentralization. This means everything should be organized, as in nature, where each creature follows its own goals and needs, and as a result, we see harmony in nature. No one dictates what others should do or takes resources for themselves to distribute later as they see best or fit. Centralized methods always involve force, while the essence of libertarianism is rooted in non-violence, but with the right to self-defense. Because along with the freedom that libertarianism brings comes responsibility for everything. The more freedom you want, the more responsibility you must embrace. These two concepts go hand in hand. One is impossible without the other. And so business is when you willingly take maximum responsibility and maximum freedom, and invite others to collaborate with you. When you hire someone, you don't overload them with excessive responsibility, but rather establish a framework within which they can operate with you. So that's what the whole principle is based on. That business is something people should create privately, not as we were taught in the Soviet era, that there's a state that's supposed to take care of everybody, to create jobs and everything else. No, people should approach this with maximum market freedom. That's what libertarianism is all about. Another important point, just in case, perhaps a bit off topic, but nevertheless, that libertarianism itself is not about politics. A lot of people associate it with politics due to libertarian parties and libertarian politicians, but they're just aligned with those goals, or merely declare them. But libertarianism itself is the principle on which the community is built. And an important point about libertarianism is that a true libertarian never forces others to adopt libertarianism or anything else. They just refuse to allow others to impose views on them. Everyone chooses their own path.
You mentioned that now, with numerous projects under management, you have a more global view on everything. You can look at the world a bit differently. In a way, you view the world as a system in terms of business, as a reflection of personality. I remember I had a student, an entrepreneur. Once I asked him, "What has entrepreneurship taught you?" Certainly, his projects may not be that massive, but still, he's been doing this for a long time. He said, "What entrepreneurship has taught me is that all my personal limitations are immediately reflected in my business."
Agreed.
So, first and foremost, don't even care about personal relationships. You have to work on yourself to make your business grow. Because it's going to be tripping over all your fears, all your limitations and complexes. So, you need to work on yourself in order to work through your business. Do you support
Yes,
this idea?
absolutely. That's one of the key insights I've been discovering as well. I'm sure that the potential for achieving these great levels of success was within me much earlier. I mean, everything needed for success was present, yet some element was missing. There were many habits and internal limitations, possibly even stemming from the Soviet past. Even though I believed I was discovering something more within myself and going beyond, it turns out it's always necessary to learn to admit that at certain moments you are habitually following something, thinking too small, and looking at things through the wrong eyes. In this regard, I even recalled something like this. Right before my biggest breakthrough, I once said it out loud that I have had difficult times where I've had to deal with some kind of condescending attitudes from certain people out there. Never mind the details. The point is that when you encounter someone and wonder, why are you treating me like this? Someday, I'm going to achieve something in any way, right? So, will you talk to me differently then? Yes, not like you do now, but I'll still be the same person I am now. Are you even considering that? Those are the thoughts I used to have. But just before I took off, I got myself thinking that, actually, no, I'm not the same anymore. I saw very clearly that I was about to take off. And the first thing I recognized was that I was not the same. It was the fact that I wasn't the same that held me back.
So, what helped you become not the same? What did you do? Any spiritual practices? Did you have any teachers who helped you achieve a new level of personal growth and awareness? How did you come to this? Tell us about this journey.
You know, it's actually a more complex thing, because even though I articulated this, on the other hand, I'm glad that things happened as they did in my life, in that same sequence, because it's a well-known story. When an entrepreneur succeeds, but his life is not quite in harmony, it does not work out as he wants. Somehow, he may not find happiness, although everything seems in place. This desire for balance in life was so strong that at times it may have pushed my financial development aside for me. But somehow I managed to balance all aspects of my life. So by the time financial growth took off, because I had periods of growth and decline, ups and downs, and then eventually growth that was finally solidified. Because besides knowing how to make money and how to succeed, it's also important to understand at some point how not to lose it all. It took a long time to learn that. However, there are still some things that you don't admit to yourself. They're tied to habits and ways of thinking, to the fact that that's the mindset of an average person. When you're seeking and demanding justice from the world, from how everyone treats you, you realize at the end of the day that these thoughts are negative for you. They hinder your progress.
Of course.
You must take full responsibility for everything without blaming others. Often someone seems to know it all, but doesn't fully admit to themselves that there are some other things, blaming the government for misfortunes, or women, or someone else, something else that went wrong, and why you faced all those troubles. And there are some reasons why you're at the bottom of life, not the top.
And what lets you recharge now to be filled with energy? What brings you joy?
Work brings me joy, strangely enough. All of life in all its fullness. Exactly what I'm talking about. I'm glad everything has followed its course. And by the time that I'm in the middle of many things right now, and the big rush is a constant companion to my business and my development.
How do you stand it, this constant rush? Because very few people can withstand it for long.
Except for a few tough moments when I faced some very hard hits from enemies that I've been through some brutal business wars, and at some points I slipped into stress a little. Still, overall, despite my business schedule, I generally feel balanced and in harmony, deriving joy and pleasure from every moment, whether I'm working, resting, giving this interview, whether I'm sleeping or awake, able to get away from the kids and work properly, or when they find me and hang all over me, requiring my attention. Whatever the moment, I'm grateful for it. It's happiness. Happiness in all aspects of life. Thankfully, I learned this before achieving any real success.
You mentioned enemies, wars. Am I to understand that you've had some severe trials, serious challenges?
Very
to your
severe
business?
ones, yes.
What have they taught you? How to get through them? How not to lose? How did wrestling teach you? And now that you're facing it in the real world, what lessons have you learned?
There are a lot of lessons. Among them, you must remain vigilant, of course. When people reach a different income level, they must adjust their routines and habits, especially regarding security and interactions. This involves educating those with whom you interact often. You also realize that both in legal and illegal fields, things operate under entirely different rules, it turns out. There are many surprises that you must learn about, understand, and be prepared for. It is necessary, while building all this, at the same time, it's crucial not to fear anything, or anyone, of course, because many people will try to scare you, attempt to bluff you, and create the illusion of some kind of fear. Many people seem to want to help with your problems. Then you find out these same people create problems to solve them for you. So, yes, it's a sort of interesting experience. And I understand that we will continue to grow, and new challenges at various levels may arise. So we are preparing for them in advance. It all turns into an interesting strategy game, building your team really big. Yeah, and it makes you see people differently, because previously it was easier to understand the people around me, since obviously they didn't need anything from me. But now I have to look at people much more carefully. Interestingly enough, after some experiences, I realized I was surrounded by all kinds of people, among them good people, wonderful people, bad people, unfortunately, average, and even traitorous individuals. There were all kinds. And I realized, one thing I've realized is that I should trust my intuition more. It's just such a seemingly simple, yet non-obvious thing, because it's never been so clear before. Then, all of a sudden, you find it, and then you find confirmations and evidence, and you realize that you've seen it all before. You just somehow thought you found an explanation for everything, but no.
How do you feel about the fact that, obviously, when projects like yours emerge and personalities like you create such entrepreneurial ventures, there are many people who want to copy them, and now they can, and take a piece of the pie, and copycats emerge. How do you feel about that?
Calm. Absolutely. That's what doesn't bother me at all. Moreover, in our case, we create smart contracts, among other things, which can literally be easily copied. In the future, we aim to achieve what I've been talking about for a long time, making the site decentralized. There are new technologies in Web 3. They've been around for a while to create a completely decentralized site. This means there's no server where it can be shut down. However, you need to prepare a lot to be ready for this. That's what I want to get to, among other things. This means the site itself can be easily copied, not just a smart contract. But I'm not afraid of this because at the heart of any direction is the community. And if the community follows something real, a real idea, then it's a stronger community. Plus, I clearly understand how what I've created will continue to develop. I mean, everything will continue to evolve, and my vision can't be replicated anyway, so it doesn't bother me at all. Moreover, to those who copy, I would suggest it would be much more interesting to work with me instead. But please do what you want.
You mentioned how you realized that there were different people around you.
Yeah, well, I always realized that.
I mean, very
it just took me
different
a while to
people,
recognize
right?
it.
And you realized you need to trust your intuition more. Now, when you communicate, I understand about intuition. What do you value in people? How do you attract people to your projects? What qualities do you highlight as important that somehow attract you?
At some point, we decided and declared, as they say, it seems like such an obvious thing, but there's still plenty more to work on yourself. And this is one of those things. You need to agree to interact only with the most skilled professionals in each field. Because the more professional a person is in their role, the more likely they are to be decent. Even if that's not the case, it won't hinder you in any way, because professionalism is professionalism. Dishonest people, whom we unfortunately encountered, are generally those who fell short somewhere in their business and attempted to compensate through dishonesty. So this is the simplest, seemingly obvious thing.
Interesting.
It's clear that such people are not easy to find. However, you can set yourself the task of seeking only the best people. I'm not satisfied with someone who merely does their job well. I need the very best people who find new solutions, who get excited and energized by the idea alongside me and who want to create something. And it turns out this is possible.
It's hard to find people like that.
It's hard, but it's actually possible. They exist. They're out there. It's just that when we decided this for ourselves, it started to work for us. Exactly, because we made that decision.
You made it yourselves.
Perhaps we saw for ourselves that these people actually exist. We just weren't reaching them before. We were getting the first ones who came along, looking for something themselves.
And what personal qualities attract you in people?
What personal qualities attract me in people? Perhaps attention to detail. You know, it's very difficult to narrow it down. I mean, it would result in a too long a list. But in general, it works somehow on an energetic level. A person either attracts or repels you. That's the crucial aspect because you'll notice everything else later.
We've already seen you as an entrepreneur, a director, and a wrestler. However, you have many other facets. In particular, you're very passionate about tea.
Tea, mate.
Tell us a bit about this. You have a wealth of experience related to it.
Yes, we have even started our first batch of teas. It is Chinese shu puer. This is our first try, so to speak, and we're still in a test run. We are also getting ready to launch our mate. Mate is a South American drink, primarily from Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay. We're also purchasing land in Brazil, where Paraguayan holly grows, or can be cultivated. The most suitable places are in the area where Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay intersect. This is where Paraguayan holly thrives best, good enough for producing mate, organic yerba mate. It's a wonderful drink that gives you a sense of clarity and purity. I've been drinking it for over 20 years now. I typically begin my day with it, meditate, and then get on with exercise and everything else. We'll have our own mate hopefully soon. Among teas, we offer Chinese teas. We also have teas from different herbs, so-called herbal teas. We're still figuring out the names. My daughter and I, my 3-year-old daughter, came up with the name for it, Yach. Yach because it's chai spelled backwards.
I see.
We came up with it because sometimes when I drink tea in the evening, she says, "Me too, I want some too." I say, "Children shouldn't drink such tea at night." She says, "But I want to." I suggest, "Let's make you this kind of tea." "Why this kind?" "Well, because it's tea backwards, it's suitable for children at night." "Then it's yach." And so we came up with the term yach. So we'll be making our yaches. We need to think about how this word would be in English. Yat. Eat.
Thus, we have naturally transitioned to another very significant project in your life, which you rarely talk about publicly. Your family. Please tell us. I know you have wonderful children, little ones, and you spend a lot of time with them. Tell us about what your family gives you.
My view on family is actually that it's something that I don't really feel the need for. So what my family gives me doesn't quite sound right to me. But if the family exists, then it's sacred to me. These children came into this world to me. I'm responsible for them, and I will give everything for them. I just believe it's very important for a person, especially a man, to be entirely self-sufficient, in the sense of not needing anyone, including children. But at the same time, children are sacred. They are sort of your responsibility for the future of the world. As people, all the bad things in people stem from not having enough love in childhood. I'm pretty sure that if children are given love in a timely manner, they will be the healthiest individuals, psychologically and in every other sense of the word. The society of the future should be made up of such people.
Sometimes I think that's essentially the main thing we need to give children. This so-called upbringing and education, that's all good, of course, but love is likely the primary condition. Everything else is supplementary. Because if you provide everything else without love, it won't bring anything.
Yes, at the same time, children, of course, you learn a lot from them because you catch certain moments that you may have gone through yourself. And now you're observing how it all unfolds. These are some archetypes deeply embedded within you. So there are many practical aspects as well. And the energy itself, children. By interacting with them, you naturally receive joy and happiness, of course.
What do you do together?
A lot of things. What do we do together? We talk, run, cheer, jump.
Read books.
We read books, yes. I have a 3-year-old daughter. Since we don't give her gadgets, she doesn't watch TV. Her main focus is on books.
It's really great.
Fortunately, we can buy as many books as we want. I love books myself. You can often find our daughter literally covered in books. She's always chasing after me, asking me to read to her. Then she sits and retells all those stories.
Let's imagine the world 20 years from now. 20 years is quite a long time nowadays. How do you see the world and yourself in it? Lado Okhotnikov, 20 years from now, in this new world.
20 years is a lot, yet not much at all, because I vividly remember 20 years ago. It feels like yesterday, but also like a different era. It's both at once, I'd say. Well, 20 years from now, I hope we've already achieved the main goals we're working towards now. We'll have our metaverse fully operational and working at its full capacity. I'm sure the world will be better by then, because even though we often criticize today's world for we've lost this or that, and that's true, development isn't linear. It happens through crises. But overall, I see humanity moving towards nature. First, there's Maslow's pyramid, which states that you need to meet basic needs before caring about something like ecology or higher. Any kind of higher.
Spiritual growth.
Spiritual matters and so on, which are also important, of course. Everything occurs step by step, and we have all the resources and tools necessary for this. I really hope that by this time, society will become freer and more open to ideas, and we'll be astonished at how we used to live, restricting ourselves so much.
And you? If by then your main projects are done and you've achieved your big goals, what will you be like and what will you dream about?
Well, but there are countless goals. In fact, I have goals for over 20 years, even much longer, for many decades.
Do you write down these goals somehow? I mean, do you comprehend them?
Yes, of course. And I do it regularly from time to time. So by then, I will have written new goals for the next 20 years. I don't plan to stop. By the way, since I'm a kind of film buff and a film director by education, it was very memorable. I was really impressed. There is one Portuguese director, among others, or better to say was, as he's dead now, Manuel de Oliveira. He lived to be, I forget exactly, around 105 years.
That's incredible.
100 and something years. When he was around 100 or so, he made movies almost every year until his passing. He made many movies and maintained high quality until the end. That is, he didn't decline. Instead, he continued to create interesting work. Sure, there will be ups and downs, but overall, his film career was remarkable until the end. He was about 100 when he was interviewed, and he appeared quite lively in that interview. That is, not some decrepit old man like this, a normal person, yes, elderly, but in good shape. He was asked questions about all this stuff, how he kept making movies so actively at such an age. He said, "I feel the approach of possible death, the possible end of life. But I'm pretty sure what keeps me going all these years is that I'm always working. As soon as I stop working, I'll immediately leave life." That's what he said.
You agree with that?
I feel that movement is life. Work is like movement. It's life. Work is movement with purpose. Because purpose is something that is our guiding star, the energy that inspires us and leads us forward. Yes, purpose seems like something that you kind of achieve, and then like, what next? In reality, however, it's something on an energy level, something I believe humanity will understand in the future, what purpose really is. But for us, fortunately, it's clear today that you need a purpose that inspires you, that you want, and that will make you happy if you achieve it. And you'll find joy in moving towards it. This is life. Why stop life?
Lado, thank you so much. I know we could talk endlessly. There are so many topics, and you are a captivating and charismatic person to talk with and willing to share with the audience. That's very pleasant. I wish you enough worthy goals in your life and that you always know where you are going.
We will always know. Thank you. It was a very interesting conversation, and you guided it perfectly.